Hello, Kelly Bear here. It is Christmas Eve and yeah, I am finally chilling out. I say chilling out, I'm here filming a video, which wasn't the plan. I was hoping to actually have this video filmed and edited and uploaded and scheduled for last night, which would have been Christmas Eve, but it just didn't pan out because I still had a lot of stuff to do. I wound down my sort of shop work stuff on Wednesday, solstice. That was the last day that I did any work, and then I've spent the last couple of days just sorting out the flat and yeah, getting ready for Christmas. Anyway, that is by the by. I'm not sure when I'm going to put this one up. Probably Boxing Day, because I know that you know, in the States, and I don't know if in Canada, Boxing Day isn't a thing, but Boxing Day is a thing here in the UK. Anyway, again, doesn't matter. Let's just get on with it. So this is, as you'll see from the title, the 10 decks I would like to work with in 2023. So I did this year. I made a video in January talking about the decks that I wanted to work with in 2022, and then last week I posted, or was it earlier this week? Anyway, it doesn't matter. What is time? I posted I revisited that, and to see how well I did, and actually I did better than I thought I had. So I was really pleased with that, and I thought, well, I'm actually going to do it again this year, because it's not really something that I would usually do, but I quite enjoyed having, you know, a number of decks just sort of to be mindful of, trying to make a concerted effort to use, but at the same time not sort of stressing myself out about it. Now, so I have 10. Obviously I want to work with all sorts of decks. One of the most recent ones, oh, I have to say, I did the decks that I bought in 2022, and then that the day before, but I scheduled it, so I'd already filmed it and scheduled it, and then another deck came in, which was Tarot by Mr. Freeborg, which is chef's kiss. So that is not actually correct. Well, I say decks I bought, decks that came into my collection in 2022, and actually I think I'm getting some decks for Christmas, so I might have to do a mini update on that on that video. I should have waited until the very end of the year to do that. Lesson learned. So yeah, this one is for next year, and the first 4 decks that I'm going to show you were in the previous video, because I did work with them a bit, but not as much as I had wanted to, and on reflection I was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of bummed that I didn't use them as much as I wanted to. So one of them I'd had longer than the others. Two of them I had longer than, and then two slow down. Oh my god, I'm just like, and now of course the sun's come out to make me look like a ghost. There we go. Pretend I'm not as pale as I am. Oh lovely, that's getting to the right temperature. So what is going on in my brain today? 2 of the decks I've had for a long time, and 2 of the decks came into my collection this year. So 2 of them, the 2 newer ones, are actually both oracles. Anyway, fucking get on with it. My god. I watched Monty Python The Holy Grail again the other day, for the first time in ages, and there's that bit where they go, get on with it. That's what, whenever I say that in my videos, that's what I'm referring to. Get on with it. That or run away. And then we watched The Life of Brian last night. Some problematic elements that haven't aged very well, but for the most part it's a fucking banger of a film. Anyway, I'm supposed to be talking about decks, and I'm talking about Monty Python. So the first one I'm going to show you is the Ostara Tarot, and I think this was the first one I showed in the previous selection for this year. So yeah, the Ostara Tarot. It's very glossy. I'm not a fan of the glossy. I love this strength card. I remember Jessica of Jessica and the Moon several years ago made a video about her thoughts on this strength card, and it just blew me away. It was a really beautiful video. I don't know if it's still up, but yeah, this deck is interprets the Smith-Waite in really, really interesting ways, and although it's named the Ostara Tarot, you know, for me it feels like a colder month's deck. It feels more like a, I guess, yeah, I guess winter into spring makes sense. Although there's lots of autumnal tones in this as well, which also feels, I don't know, it doesn't feel very summery to me, or sort of warmer spring months to me. There's lots of snowy scenes. Case in point, actually, this is a snowy scene. I've got to get the camera to... Come on. So that's a snowy scene. This is the Hermit. But it's just, it's beautiful. Oh, this has got a couple of little, what appear to be crows. I mean, come on. It's the Two of Cups. We have Art as the Justice card. And yeah, all of the courts have particular animals in them, which I really like. And I really like each artist that contributed to this deck. There's 4 artists. I really enjoy, come on, all of their artwork. I like all of their styles. Look at these beautiful warm oranges and sort of golden yellows. This snail travelling across her head. Oh, there's 2 snails, look. So cute, so cute. But yeah, really, really, yeah, just want to, I feel like this one is one that I should get a journal for and do a proper, like, proper full deep dive into. I've only sort of half-heartedly done it, and I need to do better, or I want to do better. I don't need to, I don't have to, I would like to. So let's just put that back in the box, because why haven't I made a pouch for this? Why? What is wrong with me? I can't stand this situation. I swear to God, I don't understand why publishers do this to us with the split deck. Anyway, the second tarot that was in last year's was a deck that I have used on and off over the few years that I've had it. I've had it about, I think I got it, it was gifted to me in 2019. So I've had it 4 years this January. Is it really that long ago? Or was it January 2020, the cursed year? I want to say 2019. Have I had this that long? Bloody hell. Anyway, so it's the Wooden Tarot. I have been slowly watching in little bite-sized chunks, just a card at a time, or a few cards at a time, the really great in-depth walkthrough and sort of discussion about some of the cards, or a lot of the cards, and the imagery that she found, and the information that she found about the deck via blogs and things, is Cosmic Creeper. It's from a while ago, probably from like 2 or 3 years ago, but yeah, it's a really good walkthrough. And she's sort of identified as best she can the animals in the deck, like, as in, obviously it's a deer, but what kind of deer, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I know this is a deck that she works with quite a lot, and it's just one of those ones that I've worked with, but I've only sort of half-heartedly like dived in, and again, it requires more. I want to build a connection to this. This artwork just calls to me. I really love the Skull Garden decks. I have all of them at this point. And the other one is a Skull Garden deck, which is the Pathfinder Oracle. I had so much fun working with this in the spring. I think this came into my collection around March. And I really had so much fun. It's is it 45 cards? I can never remember. 48 cards. The artwork is really luscious and rich. Lots of lovely deep purples, midnight blues, gorgeous, yeah, just like warm, like, look at that, gorgeous warm orange tones, and it's very nature based. And yeah, I spoke about this in the video for my revisiting the decks that I wanted to work with this year, talking about how I initially hadn't backed this deck when it was on Kickstarter because it felt very deserty, and like, that's not, and it's inspired by the desert. I mean, that's what the creator talks about, Andy Swartz talks about, but it's not a landscape that I connect with. I mean, I've been in deserts, I've done road trips through desert landscapes, and I've been to Egypt and stood in the, you know, like in the desert, but it's not something that I'm super familiar with, or So I just sort of was like, well, I don't know if this deck is for me, and some of the animals are not animals that I would, you know, really be around, like bison and stuff like that. Although bison used to be, we used to have bison in the UK, and back in the day, like wolves and other creatures that were hunted to extinction. But this is the only card I don't feel fits, and it's called the Companion. So we have a person riding on some kind of like weird bird, two-legged, tauntaun slash deer slash I don't even know type creature, and then there's this person on the back, and I don't know, it just, the artwork, I don't know, it just feels like it doesn't fit. Everything else is very sort of nature. Well, obviously humans are part of nature, but you know what I mean, there's no other sort of real human elements in this. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Sorry, Simon, to Simon of the Hermit's Cave, who might watch this, I don't know. I know he's not a moth person. I'm really sorry, I might have freaked you out there. But it's got the elements, as you can see. We've got snow, we've got weather. Look, here's the bison. But the thing that really helped me sort of get around that and then decide to ultimately buy it was that I'm like, it feels very dreamlike and otherworldly. So to me, this could be like another universe, a dreamscape, an astral plane. And then I was like, okay, if I view it like that, suddenly this deck made more sense for me personally. That's how I frame it. But I'd really like to get back on this because I had so much fun doing like different layouts and working out different ways to relate the cards to each other. It does have a guidebook, which is unusual for Skull Garden decks, but it's really still quite fluid, and that's unusual for me because I'm not one for, I don't use Oracle that much purely because I like to have a system, but I feel because it does have the 4 different associations for the corners and it has a guidebook, it has just enough fluidity to be able to sort of make it quite playful, but then enough structure to give you a bit of guidance, which I like. And funnily enough, the other Oracle here that's in this for me to work with this year, next year, does also have suits and a little bit of structure, and it's Laura Tempest Zakroff's Liminal Spirits Oracle. I really would like to get with the Liminal, the book, because I have not read that, but I do love her artwork. And this deck, the backs are gorgeous. The backs put me in mind of the soul cards a little bit. I don't know. I know the backs don't look like that, but that's the vibe they give me. The artwork is gorgeous. The cards are a nice size for an oracle. Again, we've got, you know, sort of elemental elements. Trees and things. What have we got? The ash. Time, like as a concept of time. Bone. It's all about liminal spaces and creatures. Well, liminal spirits, obviously. Burial ground. Gorgeous. Oh, I love this one so much. It just feels very Scotland to me. You're hiking through the mountains in Scotland. I love this like freaky looking bird spirit. Like I can almost, just the way its piercing stare just really, I don't know. There's something about it. It really feels like it's looking at you. So yeah, this is another one I'd really like to work with more. And I think what I'll be doing with these decks is pulling out decks that I can pair with them, whether that's other tarot decks or other oracles, just so I can get like a little, I don't know, it's just fun, isn't it, pairing up decks. I was thinking about what decks I wanted to pair up with the Tarot Key by Mr. Freeborg. Been having fun thinking about that as well. Sorry, just putting this away so I don't make an absolute mess on my desk. So that's the 4 that were in, you know, the 2022 I'd like to work with, and so they're being carried over to next year. Just put the book back in. Oops, there we go. So what a faff, sorry. What a faffer. I'm going to check my tea's the right temperature as well. This is not going to be a short video by any stretch, but hopefully it also won't be too long. Famous last words. Every time I say that, it ends up being really fucking long. Oh, I lied. No, 5 of the decks. So that was it. I was like, oh, I've done half and half. 5 of the decks are from last year. This one was hiding underneath another bag. So this is my Thoth Deluxe, which just means, I think it's called the Thoth Deluxe. I think it said that on the box. basically it's the larger version, and I bought it initially thinking I was going to trim it, because like I don't need all those borders of all that stuff on it, but I would need to learn the system first and then I'll trim it. But actually I really like the borders. I know, who is she? But yeah, I will eventually probably get another version of this to trim so that it still stays, the artwork is still a decent size. I think this works as a big deck. Whenever I've seen the smaller one in person now, I'm like, it seems really tiny. I'm like, why is that so small? But it's more like the original size it would have been. But yeah, I super want to like get back on the Thoth train, because I did fall off it. It's I always keep going back to pips. I always get drawn by the pips, and there's some lovely pip decks I want still. But the artwork, I really like Lady Frida Harris's artwork. I really enjoy the colours. There is a Thoth deck coming out next year that is like quite modern, in a very sort of, like, it's really different to any Thoth based deck I've ever seen. Like, it feels quite contemporary and the artwork is very contemporary and fun, and I'm like, what? I kind of want it. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called, but I think it's coming out next summer maybe, and I have no idea who the publisher is, but I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna get that. I feel like it would make Thoth more appealing to people that don't like Lady Frida Harris's artwork, but would like to sort of learn about the Thoth system. I don't know. It's funny because the way that I generally read tarot is very stripped back these days. I'm not really interested in Kabbalah. I'm not interested and I'm not interested in the astrology side. I'm not interested in it. I very much like the, you know, shape and colour and number and suit. It's very like pippish the way that I read now, but I still enjoy learning, as in for me to read, but I still enjoy learning about it, and it's always there in the back of my mind. If I am doing a reading, that information is there still. It's not really how I read. I feel like it's probably how you need to read with the Thoth, because it's the Thoth. But anyway, so the next 5 are all tarot, and they are, I don't know, only one of the, no, 2 of them were new to me this year, though not new published this year, and the rest were already in my collection. So the first one I'll talk about is the one that I'll be starting to work with very, very soon, and that is the Wildwood Tarot. I got the A Year in the Wildwood. I do have the, where is it? I think it's, oh, it's on my desk because I've got it ready for this year. I've got the, obviously the guidebook that comes with the deck, and then I've got the Wild Magic book, which sort of I thought was gonna, they said it was gonna be a workbook. I would argue that it's not really a workbook. It's more sort of expanded explanations of each card, which is really, really cool. But this book is by Alison Cross, and I originally had the digital version of this, but I don't have a Kindle. I could only ever read it on my laptop or on my phone, and I don't like reading books on either of them, so I didn't really use it. I found it quite difficult to sort of get into, but this is the expanded, updated and improved version from 2022, January 2022, so it's not even, it's almost a year that it was updated. The print was huge. I was like, oh my god, but I'm kind of grateful to it being quite large print. I don't know, I'm getting old, guys, my eyes are not great. I say getting old, it's because I need an eye test. I haven't had an eye test in years now because stuff is going on, right? But yeah, there is a thing called the Daft Days here, which is apparently some kind of tradition. Where was it? Let me see if I can find it. Was it in the back? There's lots and lots of the Daft Days. Here we go. So this, I'll be starting this on the 26th of December. So this is a Boxing Day. At the end of 2021, I created a set of prompts for Wildwood Tarot students to reflect on what they wanted for themselves in the coming year, inspired by the major arcana cards of the Wildwood. These prompts were released on the 12 days between the 25th of December and the 6th of January, or Christmas and Little Christmas, aka Epiphany. This period of time is widely known as the 12 Days of Christmas, but in Scotland, in the 1700s, they were known as the Daft Days. Gonna have some Daft Days here. So all that is left now of the Daft Days are a 12-hour entertainment marathon in the student unions of Glasgow University, known as Daft Friday, and of course Hogmanay on the 31st of December, what we would call New Year. You do not have to be working methodically through a year in the Wildwood to make use of the 12 exercises of the Daft Days. In fact, you could make use of them over any 12-day period that you like, but it technically starts on the 26th of December. And I was like, oh, I got this just in time. So I did order a chunky, like just dark green, fairly cheap spot grid notebook journal. And this is going to be my Wildwood journal. So I've been starting to pull in journals for specific decks because, yeah, it's been a while since I've done one of those. I think the last one I made was for the Antique Anatomy a couple of years ago. So this is my Wildwood Tarot. It is a chunky boy. And the reason for that is because I cut carefully the borders. I removed the borders. I gave it a borderectomy. I love the colours. This teal, yummy. This, you can't really see, it's not really good doing it justice, but this is like the most delicious, like dark teal green colour. I just want to lick it. It tastes yummy. Sorry, I always say taste and then I feel like I have to like explain that colours, a lot of colours have flavours to me. This one doesn't really have a flavour so much as I just want to lick it. I don't know. But yeah, so I trimmed mine off and I also trimmed along the bottom a bit as well. And then I backed it in like a wood effect contact paper. So it's really, really thick. And you can see it's got my Riffle Shuffler's bow in there. And then I edged it in various shades of brown. So it looked like a piece of wood or like almost like a skateboard. It looks like the deck of a skateboard, you know, when it has all the beautiful like different stripes, layers of the wood. Anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna get stuck in with this. Now the thing is though, my concern is if I'm working with this and I'm using particular cards, and I think it goes through almost a card every day or for a number of days. There's a whole thing going on with regards to the Wheel of the Year, and each like period relates to a card, and is that if I'm going to need to be pulling cards from this deck every day or every couple of days, I'm not really going to be able to read with it. Do I get a backup copy to just read with? But like, can I be bothered to be doing all of the faff of removing the borders and stuff like that? I don't know. I love this page of vessels, this otter. Oh, otters. Cute. So yeah, I'm already, this will be the one that I really start tucking into from Boxing Day, and I'm excited. So this will be, I'll be technically starting before the year even begins with this one, so hopefully getting off to a good start. We will see how I go. Someone asked me if I'll be sharing my progress with a year in the Wildwood. Maybe, I don't know. I'm going to see how it goes. I mean, I might do it for like 6 weeks and then knock it off, you know, who knows. I might not enjoy it. We'll see. I know Laura over at Aquamarine 18 has bought the book as well, so they are planning, I don't know, I didn't ask them when they were planning to start doing it, maybe in the new year as well. So there's that one. The next one is, oh, was this in this? Was this? No, this was new to my collection. So this was new to me this year as well. I had more new decks than I realised, so 3 of them were new to me. Oh, I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I got up at 7:30 this morning, which is late for me lately. I was just gone conked out. Oh, that's a good temperature. Oh, that's a good cuppa. Assam tea. The Oak, Ash and Thorn. This deck, I think, is the only deck I have in my collection where I love every single card. I said this to Stephanie when I got it. She's very kindly sent it to me for my birthday this year, and I was just blown away by Adam Ola's work. It's stunning. But I found, despite absolutely bloody loving the artwork, and just, oh, it gives me chills just how beautiful it is. I, for some reason, just struggle to read with it, and I think I just really need to sit with it. I really need to, you know, give it some time, because although it's based on the Smith-Waite system, or Smith-Waite sort of meanings, I feel like it also has its own language. So yeah, I really want to give this the time that it deserves. I would like to get the dragon one, but I want to sit with this one first, because I feel like if I connect with this one, it will help me if then I get the other one, because I know they're two different decks, but the artwork and the way that it's, I don't know, I just feel like getting to know this one better would help me connect with the other one. So I want to like pace myself and work with this one first. Absolutely stunning. I need to make a bag for this one as well. Any deck that I'm going to be using a lot this year, or hoping to use a lot this year, I feel like I need to make pouches for, other than maybe this one, because it's all sort of self-contained with the book, but the rest I do. This one, the next one, was also new to me in October. It was my Halloween present to myself. I made a bag for it pretty much straight away, and it is the Shadowland Tarot. This deck, oof, again, one of those decks that came in towards the end of the year with a couple of months to spare, with 8 weeks or so, 9 weeks to spare, and it has blown my socks off. This one has its own journal as well. I've got it here on my desk because I've been, so I can just grab it. I've got all that stuff set up ready for me whenever I'm sitting down here to do my like readings. But the most of my readings I do here. I do them on my bed as well. I did my no, I did do my solar return on here because it was, I needed, but when basically I did my solar return on the reading, which is really huge. I did it on here on this table because it's a really big table, but whenever I do my check-ins, I like to get cozy and I spread them out on the bed. I do have to put the gate across the stairs downstairs so that Nomi doesn't come and like get on the bed, because she'll like walk all over the cards, because it does take up a big chunk of space. But that's why I was confusing myself, because I was like, did I do my year ahead reading on the bed? No, it's just every time I get the cards out too. That was another thing, remembering if I wanted to use those decks that I used for my year ahead, I had to remember to then, I always kept the cards on my dressing table or on my desk, depending on what I was doing on my desk, because I didn't want to get like paint on my cards. So if I was using my desk with paint and wet media, I'd put them on the dressing table. You don't need to know that, that's not unnecessary information for you anyway. But then I'm like, oh, I'm going to use the Sassorebido Tarot. I'd have to remember, oh fuck, like I need to get those like cards that I pulled from the Sassorebido and put them back into the deck. Same with like the Magical Forest and so on, because that was another deck that I used. And sometimes I like forgot and did readings without those cards. My brain. But yeah, anyway, show the deck. This deck. Hang on, let's just. This one gives me Cousin It vibes. Did anyone else watch Wednesday? I, despite myself, enjoyed it. I was expecting not to enjoy it. I don't know why. Tim Burton sort of gets on my nerves these days. I used to be a big Tim Burton fangirl back in the like 90s and early noughties, but he's not made anything really good for a very long time, and he can be very problematic. He says some really fucking stupid, shady shit, and it's just can't have nice things. But yeah, he's not made a really good film for a long time. Let's be honest, his earlier era was a lot better, wasn't it? You know, like Beetlejuice and the Batmans and Edward Scissorhands. Much better films than his later stuff. I think Beetlejuice might be my favourite. Even Mars Attacks, I think is pretty good. But yeah, I really, this deck, it's partially, I just absolutely adore the artwork. It's really my jam. I'm really fan of like inky sketchy stuff, so like Edward Gorey, like inky sketchy and like creepy cute kind of stuff. So like Jess Roller is like a contemporary tarot and other like deck creator that I can think of that has that. Monica Podersky, there's an artist, Landis Blair. He's really cool. He does very sort of sketchy artwork stuff. You know, Ed Gorey, that kind of like, I just really into, obviously even Tim Burton himself, the way that he draws, it's very my jam. I think it's because it's also, and to an extent, I know it's not as quite sketchy as this, but like Patrick Valenz's little doodly style stuff for the like Mildred Payne stuff, I just like, I don't know, I think it's because it's similar to the way that I draw quite a bit, is very sort of sketchy and inky and then colour, and then it's coloured. I then ink or paint or like use markers in, and I use a lot, and I think this also appeals to me because I'm a real fan of using neon in my artwork as like pops of colour, and this has got like quite a bright yellow through it, and I think it appeals to me because it's something that I enjoy using in my own work. So I say work, I haven't sat down to get into my sketchbook for weeks at this point. It's really difficult to draw when you have a hand injury, and when you need to utilize what energy you do, what you need to utilize your hand use to make pouches to earn a living, rather than being able to sit and just draw and enjoy. It's really frustrating. I just miss it. Although I'm going to try and sit down and get in my sketchbook during Taintmas. Taintmas is what my husband calls the bit between Christmas and New Year. And I remember thinking, oh, okay, so I always just called it Taintmas from when I first met him. And I we're not really thinking, oh, taint as in the bit between like the balls and the arsehole, the taint. He calls it Taintmas because it's like you don't know what the fuck is going on, and it's just like a bit of a cursed time in a way, like everyone's sort of a bit like floating through time and space. But I've just, yeah, been calling it Taintmas for about 12-13 years at this point. I will. So yeah, that's one I'm very excited. I mean, I've already been working with it, but I'm just going to continue working with it. 2 more left. How long are we? Half an hour. Let's see how quick I can get these 2 done. Okay, the next one is another one that was new to me this year. I believe this came out last year, but I bought it this year, and it's the Hexa Tarot by MJ Cullinane, and it is the first of her deck that I have. I really want the Urban Crow Oracle. I'm so glad that's been made mass market, and it's a really reasonable price. It's yeah, crows. I'm a city girl, I'm a Londoner. Oh my god, I forgot to say, I don't know if I said this in any of my videos, but a little crow story for you. I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, maybe a tiny bit longer, I was coming down. Did I mention this in another video? I don't know if I did. I have really bad problems with my memory. I have brain fog, and it's been a lot worse since I had COVID. It's really exacerbated it, so I really struggle to remember like stuff that I've said or done before. It's a bit of a problem, honestly, and a bit worrying. But basically, anyway, that's by the by. It was early in the morning. It was probably, I don't know, it doesn't matter what time it was, but I was coming downstairs. I was going from the hallway, and when I got to the bottom of the stairs into the hallway, there's a window, and it looks out onto a little bit of roof, and it's my downstairs neighbour's bedroom roof, and there's a chimney stack. And I could see a crow just sitting on the what do you call it? Anyway, on the tiles there. And it was sort of looking around kind of shifty, and it had something in its mouth, and I'm like, has it got a dead creature in its mouth? I couldn't tell. And I didn't put the light on because I didn't want to startle it. So then I went into the kitchen, because the kitchen also looks out onto that patch of roof, and it's a bigger window, and I could get a closer look because there's a stairwell in front of the window in the hallway, so I couldn't like go right up and look out the window. So I went into the kitchen quietly, didn't put the light on, and was able to go right up to the window, and I could see this crow, and I could tell what it had in its mouth was a tiny little bone, little mammal bone, I guess, and it was looking about really shifty. And then it ducked down, and I could see it like poking. And what I realised there was in the chimney stack, there's like a bit where the mortar has fallen out, and there's a little gap between 2 bricks, and it was hiding the bone just in this little hole. And then it flew away. So it's got a little stash, and I could just see the little end of the bone just there in the hole. And I thought it had taken it, but actually looking the other day, I think I could still see the end of the bone there. So I don't know if he just left it there or she's just left it there. I don't know. Anyway, but I was like, oh my god, there's like a crow stash. I'm gutted I can't like reach that bit of, like I can't get to it because I wouldn't take the bone. I would like to leave something for the crow, like something shiny for it to, like, if it comes back and be like, oh, there's like there's a present here, but alas, I cannot reach it because it's on the roof. Anyway, so this is the full Hexa Tarot. Story time with Kelly Bear. This one is beautiful but perplexing to me, although I have pulled single cards from this and had really lovely readings. But it does deviate a lot. It is doing a lot of its own thing. I don't know whether I want to pick up the separate guidebook / workbook that you can get for this. If anyone has that, could you let me know if, and if you have it and you've used it or read it, could you let me know if it's worth getting? Because it's not cheap. I think it's like 25 or 30 pounds, which is quite a lot. I don't know if, I think it might be print on demand, but it's beautiful. Come on, camera. No, it doesn't want to focus. It's beautiful though. Hang on. It's fine. Oh, the colours. My camera's not doing it justice. That purple is so scrumptious. I love this death card. With the fox. Oh my god, I'm going to cry. Is the fox... Is death taking the fox away that's down in the, fallen in the snow? Look at this page of earth. I mean, and it's funny because usually I'm not drawn to MJ's work because I'm not a fan of this weird like digital effect that is like this weird blurry wiggly, I don't know, it's like a filter or something that's added to art. I don't know what the situation is. There's some kind of digital thing, and generally I don't really like that. It's something about it sort of weird, icks me out a little bit, but it really works on this deck. And actually seeing it in the Urban Crow Oracle, it doesn't, I rather like it. It's weird. I do, and it's a shame because I really liked the Guardians of the Night Tarot, but the mass market version, they've put, because I watched a walkthrough with Kelly Fitz from the Truth in Story, and they've like put the, I don't know if they've like zoomed in a little bit of the artwork and then they've put the borders in, and it like cuts off a chunk of the image, but some of the image that they've cut off feels important to the card, and I was like, oh, that's a shame. Like, I'm kind of gutted that they've done that, and I think I'll pass on it, honestly, because I prefer the indie version. Anyway, and the final deck, the 10th deck, is a deck that I had and used and loved and then ruined by edging in a messy sticky pen that made all the cards clump together, and then for the like last couple of years I've barely used it because it bugs me that I can't shuffle it properly, and so I've finally caved and rebought a copy. It's the Raven's Prophecy, and again, this deck, I've had it like 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops. It's kicking my ass. I love it. I did my week ahead reading with this, and I'm like, now I remember what the book to this is great. The artwork is great. I'm not even going to be chopping the borders off because now I've come around to like really enjoying the borders. It's got lots of crows in it. I'm very much here for the crows. It's got that warm, I'm a real big fan of like warm orangey colours. It just gives me like Halloween vibes, and you know, and autumn, and Halloween and autumn is my favourite time of year. Autumn, early winter, aka the month of December, and then like spring. I hate summer. I mean, I like the early stages of summer, some spring goes into summer, but once it starts to get really hot, I can't cope. It's a sensory issue for me. It's a pain issue for me. It's a, yeah, I'm not into it. It's too bright. It's too hot. I'm too sweaty. I get quite depressed in the summer. Anyway, but this deck just gives me like, this works for like, I feel like it doesn't really work for spring, but I feel like it works for autumn because the orange works for winter because it's got lots of like dark, you know, dark midnight blues and sort of, you know, this feels very wintry. And then it works for summer because the oranges and the warm and the fire, and I don't know. Yeah, this feels very wintry with that beautiful blues and purples. It doesn't feel very spring-like, but yeah. Summer through to the end of winter, this is a, I mean, obviously you can use it all year round, but for me, I tend to, it's funny because I I will pull a deck at any time of year, but I am definitely drawn to certain decks at particular times of year. Anyway, so that is 10 decks I would like to work with in 2023. I will be, some of them will be like deep dives with their own journals, or they already have their own journals, and some of them will just be trying to be mindful to pull them more, and some of them will be more like study, like, you know, getting back into studying the Thoth again. So yeah, that was all of them. Wow, 40 minutes. I was going to try and get this done in 30, but it is what it is. I hope that you enjoyed it. Do you have a selection of decks that you are planning to use for the new year, in the new year? I know that I will want to use other decks from my collection throughout the year. I know that there are other decks that I would like to add to my collection throughout 2023, so I will, you know, be using those as well. But those are the ones that I want to like be mindful of pulling or diving into. Other ones I know that I'll be pulling. I know I'll pull the Sasarai Bito. I know I'll pull the Magical Forest. I know I'll pull the Marshmallow Marseille. I know that I'll pull the Antique Anatomy. You know, there's decks that I just will always pull. The Next World, the Numinous, all those decks. I really want the 5th Spirit Tarot. It's now mass market. It's been released over here finally. I'm trying to wait until the price comes down, because I've seen some people got it for like £13 and it's currently like 18, and like your girl is on a budget. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for joining me for whatever this fucking was. And yeah, it's Christmas Eve, so if you do celebrate Christmas or any other holidays during the winter season and they haven't occurred yet, or they're in the middle of them, I wish you, yes, a Merry Christmas, a Happy Kwanzaa or Hanukkah, or whatever it is that you celebrate. I hope that you are having a good time, and you have a time at least to chill out, relax, eat some good food. I don't know, just take some time for yourself, slow down. Something I very much need to tell myself to do is slow down. After I've filmed this and done a few last little bits around the house, I will be chilling out for the next 3 days. I can't wait. So yeah, you take care of yourselves. I really appreciate you for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.